away. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Christ Church First Service. We are glad you are here with us this morning. If you would, please stand for the reading of God's Word and for the prayer that will immediately follow. Those of you who were here last week know that we have started a new sermon series, one of 4 for this year, and it is entitled Pass It On. His story is our story, and we need to pass it on to others. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 28, verse 16 through verse 20. This passage of Scripture is known as the Great Commission. The Great Commission. Beginning in verse 16, reading from the New Living Translation of Scripture. Then the 11 disciples left for Galilee, going to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him. But some of them still doubted. Jesus came and told his disciples in verse 18, I have been given complete authority in heaven and on earth. Say that with me. I have been given complete authority in heaven and on earth. It is vital for us to understand that Jesus is Lord of all. He has complete authority. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples, verse 20, to obey all the commands I have given you. And be sure of this, says Jesus, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Let's pray. Father God, we are so comforted by the truth that we know Jesus goes with us everywhere we go. Father, today as we spend time talking about the importance of the mission of the church, help us, God, to see how you have commissioned us to go out and to share your good news with others. God, today I thank you for those who have gathered here. Thank you, Lord, that they love you and they care about you and they care about your children. They care about the lost. They care about your holy word. They care about coming in and praising and worshiping you. God, I just thank you that they're here today. Lord, I'm asking for your blessing to be upon us. God, I'm asking today that you would come and that you would illuminate your word, that you would bring it to light, that you would bring it to life. Help us, God, today to know your truths that transform our lives. God, we want to be transformed into the image of Jesus. We want to look like him. We want to act like him. We want to be like him in all aspects of our life. God, help us today. Fill us with your Holy Spirit. Give us the power so that we might go out and share your love with others. God, we love you. We thank you and we praise you most of all for Jesus. And it's in his high and holy name we pray, Christ the Lord. And let the church say, amen.
pray that today that you get a chance and an opportunity to meet God where you're at. And as we take this time to focus in on what he did for us, what better time than think about those things, that we're thankful for, those blessings, and maybe those things that we overlook as we come to the throne of God this morning, as we just come to his feet and just lay down our cares and our burdens. Hopefully those things that you're carrying around with you today, hopefully that you can lay them down to him as we sing and worship together this morning.
know if any of the rest of you heard the story, and I don't remember the specifics of it, but there was a fellow somewhere recently truck. He was driving drunk, and he ran through a crowd of kids, and he ran over 3 kids. I don't remember. In fact, I'm not even sure I saw anyone killed. I do remember that part of it. I've been studying Romans 1 and 2 this week to prepare for a class next week. And in that, Paul talks about the non-Jews and their sinfulness and the rejection of God through history. And then he comes to speaking to the Jewish Christians, and he realizes that their thinking is that they are better than these non-Jews. They're not like them. He scolds them for that, and he says, how can you, who do the same things, judge these other people? Well, when we were watching that story about the pickup truck, Jan and I are seeing this guy, and he's run over these kids. He's drunk driving. He's just irresponsible and selfish. And so we're saying things like, he needs to be locked up and throw the key away, rot in jail, whatever. And we're really just disgusted with this guy. Well, as I studied that in Romans, I realized that, you know what, I was him. When I was younger, I drove drunk numerous times. We called it road drinking. We even had a name for it. Did it about every weekend. The Lord was gracious to me in that I didn't run over any kids. But the truth of the matter is, the action that caused that harm to those children, I did exactly the same thing, multiple times. It made me think about how I'm looking at this guy and judging him as being so evil and wicked. He was no more wicked. He didn't go out to kill kids or hurt kids either. He just went out being irresponsible and selfish and not thinking about it, just as I did. Later in the scripture there, Paul talks about how it is the kindness of God that brings us to repentance. I don't drink and drive anymore. I don't get drunk, period, anymore. But that doesn't mean I don't do anything wrong anymore. God has grown me and he's helped me in many ways, but I still need him. And thankfully, because of God's grace, his kindness, his love for me, even though I was sinful and am still falling many times, it caused me to want to change and to turn to him and have that desire. There's another scripture that talks about, and I'm not going to tell you the whole story, many of you know it, but in the end, Jesus says, the one who is forgiven much loves much. And I just wanted to tell you today that you've all been forgiven much. There are no little sinners. We're all big sinners. So we've all been forgiven much. It's just whether you realize that or not. And today when we take this cup and this bread, I don't want anybody to wallow in guilt from their past. But don't forget your past. Don't forget what you've been saved from. Don't forget how God has changed you and what he's offered you. The great thing about God's gift is not only have we not done anything to deserve it, we've done many things to not deserve it. But he still gives it. So that's worthy of celebration. That's what we do today. Let's pray. Thank you, Father, so much for time to come together and just make it a point to remember the sacrifice of our Savior. We are so blessed and thankful for him and the life that he's offered and the kingdom that he's brought. And we love you, Father, for your love for us. We hope this is a blessing to you, and we do it in his name. Amen. One characteristic of those who love Jesus is that they love people. They love what he loves, and he loves all mankind, and he especially loves his church. And this money that we take up every Sunday helps foot the bill to take care of people. It pays the people who bring you the word and who serve you up here, and it pays for this building, and it pays for the help that we give to each other. It pays for help that we give overseas, mission work. There's just so many things that is done with the funds that come in. If you're a visitor, don't worry about it at all. Nobody will think anything of it if that plate goes by you. But to do what we do have to have funds, and that's what this is for. So give it cheerfully, be thankful. It's only money. Pray. Father, we love you, and we thank you for all that you've given us. We are a wealthy group here. And we just ask that you will put on our hearts what you want us to give, that we'll do it joyfully, and that we will maybe even share in its results and the works that it's done and be able to see that. We are blessed to call you Lord and blessed to serve you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Well, good morning again, everyone. Go ahead and have a seat. Most of you know that our mission statement is to reach, teach, and serve. The full mission statement is we exist to reach people for Jesus, to teach them to be Christ-like as we serve each other in love. If you've got your study guide, I believe that's on your study guide. I want us to say that together this morning. Everyone ready? We exist to reach people for Jesus and teach them to be Christ-like as we serve each other in love. And you can remember this simply by reach, teach, serve. Reach, teach, serve. It is important for us to remember our mission, why we're here. How many of you like when you are watching one of your favorite television shows, you come to the end of that show and you see those three words, to be continued? It's almost like, are you kidding me? It gets so frustrating when that happens. To see those words to be flashed on your television screen at the end of your favorite show is genuinely frustrating, and it leaves you hanging, feeling like you've got this strong need for closure and resolution. You can't just leave me here hanging at the edge of a cliff. Well, when you get to the end of the Gospels, you get that same kind of feeling being left there with you, that there is a need for closure. The Gospels end with Jesus sending out the apostles and the disciples, but what happens then? Does this great movement that the Lord Jesus Christ started, does it carry on? Does it go any further? How does it carry on? What will be the fate of those who follow Jesus? We're left with the feeling to be continued. We need resolution. The book of Acts brings this resolution to us. It helps us to find closure. Acts is known as the Acts of the Apostles. Now, that's not written in Scripture anywhere. That is a name that people have given it. I'm not saying it's not an okay name. I think it is an okay name. But I think there's a better name than that. I like the title, The Acts of the Holy Spirit through the Church. Let me say that again. The Acts of the Holy Spirit through the Church, or the Acts of the Church inspired by the Holy Spirit. I like either one of those. Either way, the emphasis is on the Holy Spirit of God doing the work of God through the church of God. And that's what we see in the book of Acts. It is no accident that modern Bibles have the book of Acts sandwiched between the Gospels and the epistles. That's not by accident. The book of Acts is the bridge between the Gospels and the epistles, and especially the Gospel of Luke, in that Dr. Luke wrote both. He wrote both the book of Luke and the book of Acts. And so we think of Luke as volume 1 and Acts as volume 2. That we need both of them together to get a complete understanding of things. Notice what's written at the beginning of Acts chapter 1. He says here, in my first book I told you, Theophilus, about everything Jesus began to do and teach until the day he was taken up to heaven. After giving his chosen apostles further instructions through the Holy Spirit, he says, during the 40 days he suffered and died, during the 40 days after he suffered and died, he appeared to the apostles from time to time. And he proved to them in many ways that he was actually alive. He gave them infallible proof that he was alive. And he talked to them about the kingdom of God. Once when he was eating with them, he commanded them, do not leave Jerusalem until the Father sends you the gift he promised, as I told you before. John baptized you with water, but in just a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. So when the apostles were with Jesus, they kept asking him, Lord, has the time come for you to free Israel and restore the kingdom? Or restore our kingdom? He replied, the Father alone has the authority to set those dates and times, and they are not for you to know. But, verse 8, you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses. That's actually the same word there in the Greek for martyr. Martyr. You'll be my martyrs. You'll be my witnesses. And some of them indeed truly were martyred, weren't they? Telling people about me everywhere. Now notice how he says this, and it's a progression. In Jerusalem, throughout Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. In truth, you could actually map out the book of Acts this way. You could use that as a way to outline the book, because that's what happens. After saying these things, he was taken up into a cloud while they were watching. There are two things that I want to make quick mention of here. The first is that the apostles were not to leave Jerusalem until the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Jesus told them not to leave Jerusalem until they received power from on high. In other words, Jesus is saying to them, I don't want you to do this ministry under your own strength or under your own effort. How many times have churches tried to do the work of God under their own strength and their own means, instead of relying upon the power of God to do that ministry? He says, I don't even want you to start this until the Holy Spirit has been poured out upon you. If you look at the back of your study guide, you'll be able to see how this works. We are told in verse 2 that Jesus gave his apostles commandments by the power of the Holy Spirit. In other words, Jesus is God come in the flesh. His Spirit is the Holy Spirit. The Spirit of Christ and the Holy Spirit are synonymous with each other. So he spoke to them from the Holy Spirit, but he also inspired them by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is what gave them understanding, gave them the ability to understand what he says. Have you known there are people who can read the Bible and they'll go, yeah, that's a good book, but doesn't really mean anything. And you're like, what? Are you serious? Or they read the Bible and it doesn't seem to impact them at all. And you go, how does that happen? Well, here's how it happens. Spiritual things are spiritually discerned. You have to have the Holy Spirit of God to understand the things of God. And so he's not wanting them to move. He's not wanting them to do anything until the Holy Spirit has been poured out on them. In Acts chapter 2, we're told that the church is formed in Acts chapter 2 because of the Holy Spirit of God. The outpouring of God's Holy Spirit creates the church. Day of Pentecost, Acts chapter 2. We're told in Acts chapter 13 and 16 that the Holy Spirit guided the church, told them where they could go and where they couldn't go, actually stopped them from going places. We're told in Acts chapter 19 that the Holy Spirit signals that the church is authentic. This is how we know she's the real deal, is by the power of God's Holy Spirit. That's why I say this is the acts of the Holy Spirit through the church. Because really it's all about the Holy Spirit. You say, Doug, why do you say that? The Holy Spirit is God. God is always the hero. And he is the hero of all Scripture. The church is not the hero. She's the one who's been rescued. The hero is God. He's always the hero. And second, Jesus tells them to begin this ministry in Jerusalem. Then go to Judea, to Samaria, and to the ends of the earth, he says. In other words, they were to grow the church where they were planted first. But the church was then to permeate itself throughout the world. Jerusalem, that's Acts chapter 1 through chapter 5. Judea, Acts chapter 6 through 11. Samaria, starts in Acts chapter 8. And then the ends of the earth, Acts chapter 11 through Acts chapter 28. You could map out Acts this way if you wanted to. Beginning in Jerusalem, to Judea, to Samaria, to the ends of the earth. And when you think about us, we'll talk more about this in just a moment, but the same mission is true for us. Bowling Green, Wood County first. This is where we have our utmost priority. This is where we have the most accountability and responsibility to God, where we have been planted. But we're not to just stay here. We go into Ohio, into the United States of America, and to the ends of the earth. But we don't forget about home in the process. How was the early church able to pass on the story? First, they were guided and empowered by the Holy Spirit of God. They didn't try to accomplish this ministry on their own, in their own power. Second, they began the work where they were planted, and they worked out from there. Today, we're going to ask and answer 4 questions. Things I want you to think about to help us understand the importance of this mission that we are on. First, who or what is the church? Second, what is the mission of the church or our mission statement? Third, why have a mission statement at all? And fourth, why has Christ Church selected our mission statement? Some of you may have wondered, I don't know anything about Christ Church. Today you're going to learn a lot. Today you're going to come to know what we are all about. Jesus said, I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. There are some sermons I believe wholeheartedly need to be re-preached and re-preached and re-preached. This is one of them. Not every time when you come in here will you hear some new theology, some new teaching. Sometimes we will just echo those things we know to be true. And when we do that, I never mind it if you give me a hearty amen. Right? I know as you're searching for new truth, and I'm giving you those things that you're like, I don't know, Pastor Doug. That one there, I'm going to have to go home and study that out. And I urge you to do that. But when you know these truths to be true, you can amen them. When I say Jesus is Lord of heaven and earth, what can you say? Amen, absolutely. Those are the things we believe and we can confirm. So if we're going to pass on the story, there are some sermons that need to be preached again and again. Hear me on this point. What has allowed the church to remain strong? How have we been able to pass the story on? How have we been able to stand strong, stand the test of time? It's that her mission and message, this church, the Lord's church, her mission and message have never changed. It is all about Jesus. And if it ever changes, she will die. And she deserves to. The Apostle Peter in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 5 through 15 said, after teaching them to add to their faith virtue, knowledge, self-control, so on and so forth, he says, if you do these things, you will never stumble or fall away. When someone says to me, you know what, this will keep you from ever tripping up, I'm like, what? Are you serious? Does that really work? That's what he says. This will keep you from stumbling and falling away. He says this in verse 12. I plan to keep on reminding you of these things, even though you already know them and are standing firm in this truth. Yes, I believe I should keep on reminding you of these things as long as I live, says Peter. But the Lord Jesus Christ has shown me that my days on earth are numbered, and I am soon to die. So I will work hard to make these things clear to you. I want you to remember them long after I am gone, he says. Peter gave 3 reasons. He said, first, I believe I should. Why do I remind you of these things? It's the right thing to do. And you know what? There are times you need to do the right thing to do because it's the right thing to do. And you say, well, Pastor Doug, that won't profit me one iota. I won't get nothing out of this. I'll be taken advantage of. And I'll say, well, is it the right thing to do? Well, yeah, it's the right thing to do, but at that moment, stop yourself. If it's the right thing to do, you need to do the right thing. Number 2, Peter says, my days are numbered. One of the things you heard me say last week is that the leadership realizes we're not going to be here forever. We need to put this story down for others so that they know and can hear and understand these truths long after we're gone. So we're working on a historical document of putting together how this church was formed and how God blessed her and used her. And third, I want to make sure these things are clear, that you understand what I'm teaching. Remember now, not every Sunday are we preaching new spiritual truths. Sometimes we're just enjoying the truths of God's Word that we already believe. Jesus said, I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. It is vital for you to know the church of Jesus Christ is His church. Some people will say, Doug, what's your church believe about this or that? And I'll say, well, first of all, it's not my church. And second of all, you'll have to ask them. Because if we have 100 people here in the first service, you're going to get about 100 different answers on things. Right? So you're going to have to ask them if you want to know what they believe about something. But here's the truth. We call ourselves Christ Church because we belong to Him. It's not so much a name, if you will, as it is a statement. It's a statement of possession. Whose are we? We're Jesus. We're His church. We're Christ's church. So who or what is a church then? The Greek word ekklesia, which is used for church, originally meant an assembly called out by the magistrate or legitimate authority. We are the called out ones. Called out from sin and transgression and evil in our life. Called out by the message of the cross. Called out ones who believe in Jesus Christ. The church is an assembly of people who have put faith in Christ Jesus for the salvation of their souls. Called out by God for the purpose of having a relationship with Him through Christ. Serving as the presence of Christ. You are the body of Christ. Serving as the presence of Christ in the societies in which they live. When these people come together, they form the church. That's the church. We speak of the church twofold. We speak of the church universal. The Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians 10, he said, whatever I do not want to give offense to Jews or Gentiles or the church of God. That would be universal. Worldwide. Then he talks about the specific congregation in chapter 1. Paul says he is writing to the church in Corinth. Specific to them. The church in Corinth. Understand this. The church is people. The people who are saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. But people. The church is not a building. How many people say, I'm going to go over there to that church and and they point over at that building, right? You and I know the building is not the church. The church is not a club. This is not like the Elks or the Moose. We don't come here just to gather and have time together and look at the social events of the day. And that's not why we're here. We're not even a great movement. Not that we aren't a great movement, but that's not it. We are the people of God who have been saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. That's who we are. You can't go to church because the church is you. Remember that old song? I love that song. The church is the people. So you know what that means? That means wherever we meet, the church meets. Second, what is a mission statement? A mission statement answers the question, why do we exist? Why are we here? What is the purpose for the church being here? Without a mission statement, we can drift off course. The mission statement gives us clear direction and it gives us a sense of purpose. Our vision for Christ Church and our mission are different in this respect. Our vision is how we accomplish our mission. Think about it like this for a moment. We exist to reach people for Jesus. Okay, well guess what? Here's what we're going to do. This year, and I'm not saying we're doing this, I'm just throwing it out here. This year we're going to bring in Casting Crowns, Mercy Me, Toby Mac. We're going to have a concert over at the Bowling Green football stadium. While that concert's going on, we're going to do everything we can to get it on TV, on radio. We're going to get all the churches in our community to be a part of it, and we're going to have all the pastors there, and we're going to have those groups preach the gospel while they're here. We're going to have all those pastors there ready to receive the people as they give an altar call, and we're planning on thousands giving their lives to Jesus that day. That sounds kind of cool, doesn't it? But see, that would be our vision of how to accomplish our mission. Our mission is to reach people for Jesus. The vision of how we do that changes and is adapted to our circumstances. Why have a mission statement? Well, first of all, Jesus is our example. He gave his mission statement in Luke 4, verse 14 through 21. He said in that, "My purpose is to preach the good news to the poor. Those captive to sin will be released. The blind will see. The downtrodden will be freed from their oppressors. The time of the Lord's favor has come." That's what he said. I've abbreviated it, but that's what he said in those passages. This he would accomplish through the cross. He focuses on the purpose. For the joy set before him, Jesus endured the cross. But that was his mission. And I want you to know, he was mission-minded all the time. It never left the forefront of his mind what his mission was. It never changed for him. 4 additional reasons to have a mission statement. Number 1, it gives clarity to the purpose of the church. A mission statement answers the question, why do we exist? What's the church doing here anyway? Without a mission statement, we drift off course. The mission statement gives clear direction and sense of purpose for everyone. Number 2, it produces unity within the church. The mission statement gets everyone on the same page. You can come into our elders and you can start up a new ministry and they'll say, okay, does it reach people for Jesus? Does it teach them to be Christ-like? Are we serving each other in love? Do it! Just that simple. Why? Because we know what our mission is. We know what we are about. It produces unity. It's to motivate the church. When everyone's on the same page, it creates excitement. I remember when I first started singing in a quartet, I didn't know how to sing very well. Still don't know how to sing very well. And I didn't know how to do parts. And so what we found was, as we were singing, was everyone was trying to sing loud enough to hear their own part. And we were almost shouting over top of each other all the time. Why? Because if I started to hear his part, I'd start singing it. Because I didn't really know my part. Right? But then as that quartet began to gel and began to understand their role, it brought unity. Then we began to sing as a quartet together. That was good. That became music. It produces unity in the church. It motivates the church. And it keeps us from pursuing wrong things. I don't know how many times the church has gotten off track. I want to tell you right now, if you ask me off to the side, I have many political views about a lot of things, okay? But you've not heard me give you any of that kind of stuff as I'm preaching. Right? If you want to ask me about it, I'm happy to tell you off to the side how I feel about things. I'm not hiding that from you. It isn't like I'm ashamed. That's not what it is. But I want you to know that I believe the answer to the problems of the United States of America lie in the person of Jesus Christ and the gospel. Period. Okay, sermon done. Why has Christ Church selected our mission statement? Our mission statement is connected to Jesus' Great Commission, going to all the nations under the authority of Jesus. Because Jesus has been given complete authority in heaven on earth, Jesus has won the victory over Satan, sin, and death. The Father has given him the name that is above every name. Because of that, no other name has been given by which people can be saved. Jesus is reigning on his throne right now. We have to get the news out that Jesus is Lord of all, and he has complete authority over sin and death, and he gives eternal life to all who believe in him. He is the only one who is in charge and can change lives. It's Jesus. We make disciples of all nations because Jesus has commissioned us. His church goes with the authority of Jesus. Our mission is to go into the entire world on behalf of Jesus. It's not the great suggestion, it's the great commission. This is not a suggestion of Jesus. This is what we're supposed to be about. It's what we're supposed to do. The army marches in the name of Jesus, and we speak in his name. It's kind of like a press secretary. When she speaks or he speaks for the president, they speak for the president in his name. Jesus is not given us a spirit of timidity, but one of boldness. Now be careful in this. Not rudeness. Because sometimes we're rude. But we can be bold in Jesus. We go and make disciples of all nations. There's a sense of urgency to go to all people. We kind of lose that sense of urgency sometimes. Do you realize that if people do not know Jesus Christ as their Savior, they will be lost for eternity? See, there's a sense of urgency that must be about the church. We will never understand the great blessings that we have in Christ Jesus and fulfill our destiny apart from sharing our faith. The Apostle Paul told Philemon, he said, I'm praying that you will put your faith into action. It is through the sharing of your faith with others that you come to know the power of God at work in your life. Understand your purpose and destiny in life and the blessings that we have in Christ. Well, how does that happen? It comes when you are actively sharing your faith. Part of the reason we don't realize how powerful God is because he's not active in our lives. Meaning this, it isn't that he isn't there telling us and wanting us to follow him. It's we're not following. We're following everything else. We're chasing everything else under the sun, but we're not chasing Jesus. We're not pursuing him. He says to baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. We baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit because we've been commissioned to baptize folks in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. But this isn't a formula. As much as it is a statement, we immerse them in the teachings of God, the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. That's what baptize means. It means to immerse. We help them to understand that they become identified with God the Father and God the Holy Spirit and God the Son, Jesus. We immerse them in these things. Yes, we baptize them and immerse them in water, but we immerse them in Christ. We want people to see their identity in Jesus and him alone. We want them to understand their special relationship with Jesus. We teach these new disciples to obey all the commands the Lord has taught us. And guess what? He says, being obedient to the commands of God, yes, it's important, but in this passage, in the context of this passage, the command is to go and to evangelize. And you might say, well, Doug, wasn't he just talking to the apostles? Was he really talking to us? He told them to teach everything he had taught them to his disciples. To those disciples. Of the disciples of those who were his disciples. You pass it on. The command is still for you and I today. We remind these new disciples that Jesus will be with them always. He says, I go with you even to the ends of the earth. Our mission statement's all about Jesus. We reach people for Jesus. We teach people to be like Jesus. And we serve people with the love of Jesus. Ty, come on now. So today, how does Christ Church pass on the story? See, first we must be guided and empowered by the Holy Spirit of God. They didn't try to accomplish this ministry on their own or in their own power. Second, we must begin the work where we're at, not where we wish we would be. So we start right here, right now, where we're at, with the people God has given us. Second, we must begin to work where we are at, and we must go from there. We have the most responsibility and accountability right where God has planted us in our community. And you're going to have a great opportunity to be a part of that in Mission Week, Bowling Green, in July. If you've not been a part of that, I want to encourage you to be a part of that. Here is where our greatest responsibility and accountability to God lies. Right here. And then we move out from there. See, I want to tell you something. Jesus said, I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. Most of the time when we think about gates, right, gates kind of swing both ways, right? I mean, it's not just to keep things out, it's to keep things in. I mean, you've got both of those kind of things going on with a gate. I'm suggesting you today, I'm saying to you, this is the church's mission. It is time to storm the gates. We are on a rescue mission for Jesus, and there are people behind those gates who are lost. And it's time for us to get inspired again, that we would want to reach people for Jesus and teach them to be Christ-like. And then they go out and serve each other in love. Please stand. There's the mission. Isn't it great to be a part of something that you know has eternal consequences? Not just for today. Today, if you've been listening to this message, there's no more important message than that Jesus loves you, that he died for you, and that he wants you to be a part of that church. His blood was shed for you. And if you'll put faith in him, if you'll believe what he says, he will save you for an eternity. This morning, have you given your life to Jesus? And if you have, are you living for Jesus? We can assist you in either way. Won't you come while we stand and sing together? Time.
sign up for the women's workshop March 20th and 21st at the Home Renewal Center in White House. The cost is $95, which includes your own room in a peaceful natural setting, lunch from the White House Inn, breakfast, and biblical teaching and fellowship from women in the congregation. Friday night we will do a craft together. Sign up at ccbg.life or talk to Emily Allstat with any questions you may have. Sounds like a good time. Also, next Sunday, we're going to start a class in here. This class is in here every Sunday, right after services. I would encourage you, no matter who's teaching, to be a part of the class. There's one here, there's one out in the modular that Bill teaches. Bill is on First Peter, is that right, Brian? First Peter. Excellent teacher, and no matter who's in here, just we'd love you to be a part of it. Next week I'll be starting one. We're going to go through the book of Romans and kind of look at the history of God and man. Next Sunday's lesson, just to maybe draw some interest, we're going to look at two things that every person experiences every day that show there's a God. That'll be what we start with. So hope to see you. Got some prayer requests from Dean Leach. Please pray for Dan and Brenda Ransom. They were in a car accident last Monday, and I know Dan's has had one surgery and is having another one. And Brenda, I think, is in rehab now, if I'm correct. Also from Brian Carey, Brian's dad Lloyd was taken to the ER last night with possible stroke. He is still in the hospital undergoing testing. Please pray for Lloyd and the family. And we will sure do that. Let's pray. Father, we are blessed to be together. We're blessed to be your family. Thank you for the message that was brought to us. Never gets old to hear about your love for your church and what you've done for us. We just take every opportunity to honor you and understand the joy that we should have for all that you've done. I ask, Lord, that you be with Brian's dad and bring him back to health. Watch over him. Keep him safe. Bless the family with encouragement and comfort. And also the Ransom family, Dan and Brenda, please bless them with healing, Lord. Thank you, Father. The accident was quite severe, and you decided to keep them around. So I appreciate that, and we just ask for their healing. Lord, watch over us. Give us the courage to say what needs to be said, the words, the opportunity, and help us, Father, to bring glory to you because you are surely worthy. It's in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah, that. Oh, there we go. Oh, goodness, 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 down, down. They don't need to hear me. All right, let us begin. Hey, Rick, since you're standing up, would you pass out one of these to everybody, please, or at least per family? We will start here in just a second. Well, I need to have a disclaimer. What I'm giving you is something that I've done illegally. Yeah, I finally found, I was trying to type in the guy's name that did it and so forth to find out if it's copyrighted, and it is. I'd already made the copies, and I finally found it this morning. I was typing in the wrong situation. This again is another tool. It's not the full thing. It's just one sheet out of it. But the illustration of the chasm between God and man is phenomenal. If you turn it over on the back, superimposed in the chasm is the cross. I'm looking at this like when you go to Costco and they have samples and you can go ahead and taste the stuff. This is a sample of it so that you can go on Amazon. Like I say, I found it this morning. I had typed in a wrong word and it just didn't come up and I couldn't find it. And crying out loud, if you type in peace treaty, there's 25,000 references to peace treaties. But this is a tool, and it's a beautiful illustration of the separation between man and God, and so forth. And there's a tremendous amount of scriptures that you can use there, and it shows the idea that we are separated from God, and there is this big chasm between the two, and so forth. But there's a whole pamphlet that's about 7-8 pages, and it's very similar to some of the other things that we've shared that aren't copyrighted. So today we're going to try to finish up. We're going to finish up because Rick's going to start next week. We've been looking at this little booklet, technically called The Way of the Cross Leads Home. We want to take a look. We've gone through several of them. We want to take a look at, pages aren't numbered. It's the one on conversion. And I want to do this a little bit differently than we've done some other things. I am going to presuppose that I have been in your home and we've gone through all of these different things, the Word of God, and that you have somewhat of an understanding. I'm going to presuppose that you all are not Christians, have an interest, otherwise we wouldn't be looking at this. We've looked at the love of God, we've looked at sin, we've looked at the cross, which is the answer to sin, and we've also looked at the concept of discipleship, talking about what's it going to cost me? What is going to happen if I do that? And then comes the big thing. How many of you have ever bought a car? You ever bought a used car? Huh? So you buy, okay. Used car salesmen have the most bad reputation on a scale of who commits suicide. Dentists are number one. Now, I don't understand. Yeah, everybody hates to go to a dentist, so nobody loves a dentist. And on that list, in the top 5, used car salesmen are there because of the fact that they're trying to sell something like it's a brand new car, only it isn't. And you're trying to just totally overwhelm. And there's always this thing that and then I just bought a used car not too long ago. We bought it because of the fact that even though we had a minivan, she was hurting her back getting into it because it was a little higher than the one we had previously. And we needed something that she could get into. So the only criteria for us buying a car was if she could get in and out of it without pulling that muscle in her back. Now that's not a good criteria. I mean, it's good for her, don't get me wrong, but that's not a good criteria. And we really weren't going to purchase one. We just went to look. We had 3 used car salespeople working on us to sell this car. Now, I have been in the selling end of everything. I remember the day that a guy walked in to the floor covering store I was working for, got a hold of the owner and said, I have this course and it runs $600 a person to take this course to help your salespeople sell. Don looked at that and he was shaking his head, and he had $600, and there were 5 of us in the business, including him. And he's going, it's too much money, just absolutely too much money to put out. Times weren't that great. The business was okay, but it wasn't flourishing. So he went out, and the guy did this. Come up to me with Don, and he said, how much education have you had in selling? Okay, and stopped. I looked and I scratched my head a minute. I said, if I'm not mistaken, personal evangelism is a course on selling. The product is a whole lot different than floor covering or anything else. I have 8 college hours. And I blew the guy's sales pitch. He says, you have how much? I said, the product is different, but the techniques are the same. You present facts. The car we have that we purchased only had 26,000 miles on it. It was in phenomenal shape, and man could get in and out of it without hurting yourself. Now, it's a little smaller than what we anticipated, and it's only got 4 cup holders. Now, that seems bad, but, I have this that I sip on all of the time in the morning. And we go out for lunch, and you go to fast food, you get a drink with your meal, and so forth, and go, and there's not enough cup holders for just Nan and I. But they're selling things. There is a point in time when you buy a car, and they say, now look, how much can you pay? How much do you want to pay? Well, this is going to be a little bit more. And when you say, no, we're not interested, then they turn around and they start doing this and whatever. There is a point in time, and I did do the illustration of the couple that we had, where we got down to this point on conversion, and we went through it. When we went through it, there is always the point in time, what are you going to do? What kind of a decision do you want to make? It's a choice. You can either say yes, or you can say, no, I don't think I want to do that, whatever. Now, sometimes that is a good, sometimes it's a bad situation. If they say, no, I don't want to do it, then you're going back through the things. Okay, all of the goodies of this car out here, maybe I haven't explained them well enough, okay? And we go back and we try to go over some of it. Sometimes you want to say, okay, these people aren't ready. They're not ready to make that kind of decision. And if that's the case, are they still interested, but just not ready to make a decision? You have to put all of these things together. When I got to that point, and basically what this lesson on conversion is, and quite frankly, if you see, I don't know how many of you were not in the first service to hear the sermon. Okay. Partial? Okay. I'm not going over the last one, because if you've heard the sermon, the last series in this thing is on the church, and you heard it this morning. Those of you who haven't heard it here, you'll hear it when you there's no sense of duplication, and we've talked about it before. When you become a Christian, you become part of the church. You don't join the church. God adds you to the church because he sees your heart. And that's the situation. The fellowship, the interaction of a church is so fantastic, and this is all I'm going to say about it, is so fantastic that my wife and I, when we got married, moved 135 miles away from our family, which was the best thing in the world that we could have ever done, because her grandmother and her dad and my mother would have had us had a divorce within 6 months. We were away. We were on our own. And for a newlywed couple, that was fantastic. Although we weren't alone, because one of our closest friends, their mobile home wasn't ready. And they were married in February. We were married in June. And they didn't have a place to live, and they were going to be going to the Bible college and so forth, so they lived with us for about 3 months, which, that's okay. That was something that was real fun. There's a real humorous anecdote. Both of us had VW Beetles. One was dark green and one was blue. And the neighbors, we were in this sedate little neighborhood, all older people, and hey, we are in the middle of the hippie generation, and the classes Nan were taking and the classes that Galen were taking were about the same time, and the classes Elma was taking and my classes were about the same time, and so everybody was going in different cars and so forth, and we were the talk of the neighborhood. But going back to the point of not having anyone around was really, really, really good for us, because of the fact that even though we went home a lot of the weekends, we had to find a church. And we walked into one church. The preacher at that church was a little guy that was in South Bend, Indiana, and he was his oldest son and I used to trade weekends. You know how your kids are going to somebody else here in the church on the weekend and back and forth. They're going here and back and so forth. And so we decided to go to that church. And we went 3 weeks and nobody talked to us except Bob Palmer, the preacher. And so we decided one Sunday we would go to West Lansing. And by that point in time, Nan was pregnant. I'm going to tell a story on her. Maybe you've heard this story. She was pregnant. She sat in the pew and so forth, and her feet hurt, so she took her shoes off. And by the end of the service, her feet had swollen. She couldn't get her shoes back on. She says, what am I going to do? We've never been here before. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. And I said, well, just sit here and until most of the crowd leaves. And she picked her shoes up and walked. And they never have let us forget it. Let's put it that way. But we found a family in the church. There were people who became our mom and dad. There were people who were our grandparents' age, who became our grandparents. Those are the kind of things, they became our family. Nan has a sister. I had a half-brother, but he was 14 years older than I was. And that's the immediate family, that's all there was. And we were closer to the people within the church than we were our blood relatives. And to give you an example, and I've talked a whole lot of time about Dale and Penny. They've been our close friends for 46 years. And just, they're our brother and sister. All right, let's go to the conversion. I've talked to you all about all of these things, and now I'm going to, in the vernacular of the sales trade, I'm going to close the deal. All right? You understand that you, number one, that you have learned that God's word is an absolute. You have learned that sin has separated you from God. You have learned what God's gift was to you, that you have seen Jesus on the cross and what he has done for you. You understand, maybe not in depth, but you understand that to be a disciple of Christ means giving up yourself. We're going to put it that way. There are some other things that you made, because we talked about sin, and all of us have sinned, and all of us are guilty in God's eyes. We understand the cross took that away. Now, how do we get to the point, and that's why I passed out that thing that I shouldn't have passed out. There's this big chasm between me and God. Flip it over on the other side, and all of those scriptures point that it's Jesus that makes the bridge across. All right? So, what does the Bible say that you have to do? And all of us here within in my hearing, or your hearing of me, understand that if we've talked to you about God, about the Word of God, and talked to you about God, that God is important. Now, the Scripture says that faith comes by hearing, and hearing the Word of God. Okay, so we've talked to you about the Word of God, and hopefully you have a concept of what God is. You have a concept of what sin is. So what we're going to do to make this deal happen, okay, you have to have faith in God and what he says. All right? Since you know that you've done some things wrong, God asks you to repent. Day of Pentecost. Peter gets up and says, you've killed the Son of God. You have murdered him. And he was God's Son. In essence, he was the Messiah you have looked for hundreds of years, but you killed him. What was their reaction? They were cut to the heart. Remember David had the affair with Bathsheba? He became pregnant. he brought her husband Uriah home from the battleground so that he could have relations with his wife so her reputation wouldn't be down. And he refused to because they were at war, and it wasn't good for me to come home for a leave and whatever when my fellow soldiers weren't in the same position, couldn't do the same thing. So he slept on the porch. David found out about this, and so he said to his chief of staff of his army, he said, put him in the forefront of the battle, and when he's out there with a sword or a spear or whatever it is, retreat from him so he's killed. And they did that. So there was this little prophet called Nathan. Little preacher Nathan comes up and tells a story about a guy who had many, many sheep, huge flocks, and he found somebody that only had one, but it was very, very good and beautiful little lamb. And the guy took his lamb. And David was incensed. He said, show me that man, I will have him killed. And Nathan looked at him and said, you are that man. Read the 51st Psalm of what reaction there was with David in regard to what he has done. He was cut to the heart, and he repented. One of the part of that psalm says, don't take your spirit from me. Cleanse me. So forth. So repentance is important. And then we come to the concept of baptism. Everybody, and there's a little illustration, and it's kind of a parallel. Jesus died on the cross. He was buried, and then he resurrected. In the person, we have died in our sin. When we're baptized, we are forgiven and we're raised. So in that concept and understanding what baptism is, and again, Doug talked about it in the sermon this morning, about baptism. Baptism, I think it was Judy who was the secretary one time put in the bulletin, baptism isn't the end, it's the beginning. It is a act that we do that, quite frankly, the Jews who it was introduced to were familiar with from the Old Testament. If you sinned, you took an offering. That offering was washed in the laver. The guys that were going to offer it cleaned themselves. They understood that put your hands in the water and do that. You remove all of that. It is said of the scribes of the day who copied the Torah, when they came to the word that we say Jehovah, which was a 4-letter word, no vowels, they wouldn't say that word. A Jew doesn't say Jehovah. They didn't, because it's so holy and it's so glorious, they wouldn't do it. But they said that the scribe, when he came to the, he's copying. Here, here, here. Oh, that word, just a second. I go home, I take a bath, I cleanse myself, I put on fresh clothing, come back and write the 4 characters that represented the word Jehovah. They understood the concept of cleansing. How many of you have ever heard of the Essenes? It was a religious sect that was out by, have you heard of Masada? The beautiful thing where when the Romans came to conquer it, all of it, they committed suicide rather than being conquered by them. Between that and where Sodom and Gomorrah are, there was a little community of religious zealots who were cultish, if you will. But when they went in and they discovered the Essenes and archaeologists and everything, there were someplace between 6 and 10 pools. They cleansed themselves every day, immersed themselves, because they wanted to be pure in God's sight. Jesus said that, it's Peter, it's not washing away the filth of the flesh, but it was the concept of a submission to God. There's only one person that I know of who ever baptized himself that I personally know. I talked about Ron and Gina. It was her brother Paul. He read in Scripture and said, but nobody in the family, they were Jehovah's Witnesses, nobody in the family understands this, and he went out to a lake and he baptized himself. The word baptized in Acts 2:38, where Peter says, repent and be baptized, is a peculiar word in Greek. I mean, it means to be immersed. And by the way, the same word is used in the Passover feast when Jesus says, one of you will betray me, and one of the writers wrote, well, or they all said, is it I? And he says, it's the one that takes a piece of bread and dips it in the gravy or whatever, orange onion soup, I don't know. But dipped it in. That word is baptizo. Dipped it in, immersed it. When we are immersed, technically, and I'm going to tell this story. It's about the old black country church that did multiple baptisms. Now, I don't know if you have been associated with anyone. There are people in the religious world who baptize in the name of the Father, baptize in the name of the Son, and baptize in the name of the Holy Spirit. Now, I don't know if that was the situation or not, but there was this little boy that was being baptized, and the preacher out there raised his hand and said, son, do you believe? And he says, I believe. And under the water, brought him back up, and he says, son, do you believe? And I believe. Well, he did this about 10 or 15 times. And the little boy brought him up. He says, son, where do you believe? He says, I believe you're going to kill me if you don't stop this. But anyway, it is important. It is the beginning. It is the literal burial of self. It is the beginning of your new life. It's important. And when that is understood, and I'm going to go back to Ron again. I said, Ron, do you understand that? Okay, let's go back to my car illustration. What do you think of the car? Does it look good? Okay. What do you think about this, Ron? Are you ready to make a decision? You've got to come to a point. Are you ready to make a decision? And I think I've told you the story. He says, now I've got 3 weeks of vacation. I want to go back over all of this stuff. And my heart went from here to my stomach saying, oh my goodness, we've spent seriously, this went through my mind. Spent all of this time with Ron and Gina, and it's over. I said, okay, well, have a good, what are you going to do? He said, we're going camping. He says, now I want to sit down and I want to read this and so forth and so on. I said, okay. And we were doing this like on Tuesday night. And we were at their house at the point, and then every other week we were going back and forth. And I said, well, when you get back from vacation, mark this on your calendar. Tuesday night, come on over to our house. We're sitting around the table. And I said, well, did you get a chance to look at that stuff? And he says, yeah, I did. And I'm going, oh my goodness, what's it going to do? I said, okay, what do you think about everything? I says, what do you think you need to do? And he says, I need to be baptized. And I said, when you want to do it? And he said, right now. And we went to the church and we baptized both of them. Those are the kind of things that that make all of this happen. I'm going to leave you with two scriptures, and I'm going to paraphrase both of them. I'm going to look at one so I paraphrase it correctly. You're going to hear this, or you've heard it already this morning, depending on what service you're going to. The Great Commission, and I'm going to paraphrase this. As you're going about your daily life, make disciples, followers of Christ. Baptize them, then continue to teach. We use the word disciple them. And all of the things that I have told you and taught you. And lo, I'm with you to the end of the world. The other one is from 1 Timothy 2:2. Many things that you have witnessed and I have taught you, Timothy, commit to faithful men who in turn will pass it on to other faithful people. Things that we have looked at, as I have said, are tools. The main thing is do it. Thank you very much. It's been great. I appreciate it. Okay. Everybody get one of these? You get that? Like I said, I plagiarized this, so I don't know if that takes me off the hook or not. Is that a shameless plug, Rick?